All right, guys, welcome back to another Techbuds podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed Ricky's episode that we did yesterday. We have a bunch of guests lined up throughout the week. We were trying to film an episode pretty much every day of the week and just get new guests on here, get you guys some content. But today we're just kind of talking about overall college, high school, schooling is kind of our topic. We're going to try staying around. But yeah, what do you guys kind of want to start off with?
Schooling, man. So I know I went to public school growing up. You were homeschooled.
Homeschooled.
Justin,
I went to public school.
You were public school too.
I did a little public school, like literally for maybe 2-3 months out when I lived in Washington. And I mean, it was cool. It was whatever. I did fine in it. But yeah, my mom was super, I don't know, she always wanted us to be business mindset in a sense. Like she obviously, a lot of people don't know, but my sister basically got super sick when I was young. She needed a bone marrow transplant. So she needed basically, bone marrow transplanted to her because her body wasn't making bloods, blah, 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 blah. I was her match. So basically, throughout that, my sister was in the hospital, so we almost couldn't go to school because me and my brother, no one was almost taking care of us. We were like full grown on our own at like 9, 8 years old, living on our own pretty much. So our mom was just super skeptical about keeping us at home, making sure we like grew up the right way with her and my dad not around in a sense because they were at the hospital and whatnot. So that was kind of why she was always on track with us doing homeschooling or online school. And then we moved up to Washington. Long story short, like I remember, I think we were skimping out of school a couple days online and my mom just got mad at us, signed us up for public school just to see if she can straighten us out, sending us to a school because we never been to one.
Yeah.
And we did that for a little bit, but then she always kind of went back on wanting us to be on homeschool, kind of have more of the street hustle mindset instead of what school's teaching you and everything else. So moved here, we bought a skate park. That's kind of how I scootered and got good at scootering and everything else. They bought a business to help us kind of learn and run it. So me, my brother, and sister all ran the skate park as a full business. You'd come in, pay, come skate for an hour, 2 hours, a whole day, whatever. We basically classified it as like cheap babysitting. You could drop your kid off. We watch them all day. But yeah, I basically did school online, basically the whole beginning of my life, and then I dropped out my high school, sophomore year, dropped out of high school completely just because I was working in the skate park, making decent money. I was a professional scooter rider.
Yeah, people don't know. I mean,
I was a scooter rider. Yeah, I was traveling a bunch, filming YouTube videos with my friends, making a decent amount of money for how young I was back then, which kind of just opened up the whole entrepreneur side for me and kind of made me realize, you can't make money with scootering forever in a sense. So I kind of wanted to venture out and try out some other skills that I have and see if we can make money off of it. So that's kind of why apparel, we kind of started that up, got my designs going. That's kind of what started off the apparel is I liked designing stuff, drawing. So kind of ventured out to that. And then, that's kind of how everything started with my entrepreneurial side of my life.
Yeah. I mean, obviously your family situation played like a big part in that.
Yeah. 100%.
It's interesting. When I was younger, even just a couple years back, my mindset on schooling has definitely changed, I think. Yeah. Growing up, I always thought if you were homeschooled, you were like fucking weird. Or
the thing is, though, is I've been to some of those homeschool meetups and stuff. It is weird.
Are some of the kids
back in the day?
Weird?
I think it's different now because there's so many school shootings. All these people want their kids at home for safety reasons, and
That's
now
true.
It's more common than it was back in the day, especially with COVID and stuff. All these kids had to do school from home, so I feel like a lot of them just stayed doing online, whatever. I mean, COVID even went on for 2 years pretty much. That's two years of someone's life in school that they had to do online already. So I think a lot of people just stayed with the online tradition. But yeah, back in the day, it was not traditional, and we've gone to meetups, and it's like almost like that pilgrim lifestyle. Like those kids are wearing overalls, and it's really weird. And like that's why me and my brother and sister hated that because like in a sense we were the cool kids. Like we were listening to rap music and stuff back in the day when if you're a homeschooler and you're around that environment, like you don't listen to that. So we'd go to these meetups and be like, these kids are all weird. Like homeschooling was a different kind of culture back then in a sense. But
Yeah. Public school was weird for me too because I had like an entrepreneur mindset, I think, since I was a kid.
Yeah. So yeah, tell us about that.
I don't
New
think,
Jersey?
Yeah,
School?
New Jersey public school. Went to, it was like a pretty good area. My high school was actually very diverse. It was
Big class?
yeah, pretty big class and mixed. Like you had like low income people, you had middle class, high income kids.
Okay.
You had white kids, Mexicans, blacks, like
Yeah, everything.
Indian. Like it was literally just a melting pot in high school. But I always just never understood like what the point of school was.
Yeah.
I think growing up and just like listening to a teacher about why do I need to learn about this? How is this going to help me make money?
Yeah, 100%. I get like the basics of school everyone needs to learn, like math, everything else. I use math every day for my stuff. But yeah, when you're history too, cool. Yeah, it's cool to learn about history, but do you really need it? It's in the past. School has a full,
I think it was just the scheduling of it too.
Yeah.
How public school really just kind of makes you a cog in the system per se.
I agree.
The bell rings. That's when you can stand up. You eat lunch at this time.
Yeah.
It gets you very much structured, and I don't think structure is always a bad thing.
It's not, no.
But when you're talking about doing that for the first 18 years of your life,
yeah,
I don't think all kids are meant to do that. And more so on top of that, everyone thought there was like a problem with me for not wanting to do that or for thinking different about it. Even I remember as young as I did Boy Scouts when I was in first grade. And you know how they make Boy Scouts go knock on doors and sell popcorn?
Yeah.
So I started doing that.
I'd always lock my door and make sure I don't answer it.
I was getting sales.
Yeah.
I'm down for the popcorn. Bring it on.
So I was getting sales. And then I made a bunch of sales. And I was like, yo, Mom, when am I getting paid?
Yeah.
And she's like, you don't get paid.
Yeah, you're doing this for free.
You get like a toy. If you sell like thousands of bags of popcorn, you get a little toy or something. That was the day I quit Boy Scouts. I was like, I'm not doing this for free.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
so it was just it was a weird time for me. I felt like a lot of time was wasted. But back then, I don't think, and my parents were very traditional.
Yeah.
9-to-5 jobs, get a good job, go to college. That's all they kind of knew. It sounded like your parents, I mean, they bought a damn skate park. They were obviously doing
not traditional
stuff. So do you felt like if it wasn't for like your sister getting sick, that you still might have gone to just homeschooled because of your mom's mindset of like being an entrepreneur and not wanting you guys to be a cog in the system per se?
Exactly. Yeah, they've always had that mindset growing up to where she always wanted us to be more than the system allows in a sense, because when you go to school you get out typical school and middle school, high school, you're out at 3:30, right?
Yeah.
We were getting out of school doing online at like 1 o'clock, I mean, we were just excelling in a sense on really what we needed to learn the rest of the day. We were having fun, going on adventures we were going on hikes and stuff way back in the day. Our mom was super like outdoorsy, wanted us to
cool.
Yeah, get outside instead of, be indoors doing school all the time. So we'd get our basic work done. And then, the whole entrepreneurial side of her buying a business kind of kicked a roll into us. And I mean, I'm super happy she did, because I probably wouldn't be where I'm at today with the same mindset if I was just going to a regular school, or obviously the people I've met with doing online, because my schedule was so flexible, played a huge role on the people I've met and kind of who I am today. So yeah, I think it's super beneficial.
Yeah, I think it does play a really big part. Like your upbringing and like kind of like what your parents do, like is like a reflection, because like they're like more or less just always, that sounds weird saying it, but they're responsible for you until you get a certain age where you can take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Like fundamentally, if you really think about that. And if like they're doing something, they're going to instill almost what they're doing into you more or less. I was more like Rick, where my parents were a little more traditional. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad worked. I have 2 little brothers type of thing. We all went to public school. you know, and then we went to public high school and we kind of did the thing. All of us played sports and like the extracurricular activities around school.
Yeah.
But one thing that was a big comparison was I didn't really have a lot of really close friends during school, like during class and stuff like that. But like outside of school, I would never be like, oh, I'm going to sleep over every 2 or 3 days at someone's house.
Yeah.
Where other kids that didn't do sports or didn't do something else would have like those friendships and stuff like that. We never really did anything like that. But I think during high school was when I kind of realized like this is kind of like the gears are turning for me in my head. I'm like, do I really want to do X, Y, and Z? And do you do job fair, career fairs? And then I was in a bunch of accelerated classes like my whole life, and then like all these AP classes, all this bull crap in high school and stuff. And then there's lots of what degree do you want to get? What schools do you want to apply for? Then all this pressure to either like what college are you going to? Oh, you're not going to this particular, university. Oh, you're like frowned upon.
It made it sound like it was such a big deal, like life or death situation. If you go to community college, you're a fuck up, or if you go to this great college, your life's gonna be set. And then when you get in the real world and you start realizing that shit could have an impact, but it's for sure not the end all be all. Like it feels like in high school, that pressure just always seemed really weird to me.
Dude, especially in like for me, like in my like little AP classes, there were smaller class groups, and like dude, there was like 90% that already had colleges like picked out either on scholarship or whatever, and it was an interesting time for me because my dad went to community college, and then transferred to a university out here, and then my mom was the opposite. She was the full ride scholarship academically to a university, got her crap done, got out of there in 4 years, and like did her thing. I know it took my dad like 5 years or so to graduate college. And I was just I know I wanted to do business, but I didn't really know for sure what I wanted to do. And I had a really good job at the time, like part-time. And I was like moving my way through this company a little bit in addition to going to school. And I was like, you know what? I want to go to community college. It's less of a risk or expense or whatever the case may be. Went to community college for 2 years. It was close to the house. I was living at home. A big thing for me was when I was 18, like some people are like ready to get on their own. Like I was just not there. Like my mom was so awesome. Like I never really did my own laundry. I never really like had super hardcore responsibilities that I had to like take care of myself. Like I didn't cook a lot of meals for myself. So it's like,
did you guys have chores growing up?
Yeah, for sure.
Of course.
But like me moving out, being on my own,
I didn't get paid
like,
for them either.
Yeah, me neither.
Me either.
Yeah, my payment was you get to live in the house.
Exactly.
And that's I think we're all pretty similar in that aspect. But I didn't really have that. I wasn't really ready to like live on my own at 18. So I made the choice to go to community college. I went to community college, figured out what I wanted to do. I was advancing in this business, and then finally I decided to transfer to ASU. I lived on campus for 1 year, and then I tried to do the online at home. But that was my transition from living on campus to living with Ricky Gutierrez. And when we started our business and we started Techbuds and we're really literally hitting it, like really getting it going, that's when I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. And then while I was starting that, like I had a really badass corporate job that I was making a lot of money at too. And I was like, dude, I don't know if I can finish. And I tried this online school program, didn't do shit. And then I was like, I gotta drop out. I'm not gonna focus on this. If I go back to college, it'd be way later on in my life. I want to like strike when the iron's hot and like take what I was going and running with it. But I'm like the first person, like both my parents graduated college, my grandparents graduated college, their grandparents graduated college. So it's like not a letdown, but my parents were looking forward for me to graduate college.
Sure.
But my two younger brothers are on the completely different path to me. My middle brother he's 3 years younger than me, and he's graduating with his MBA this fall, which is awesome. But he also has never had a job besides one part-time job.
That's interesting.
You know, he's never had like a real job experience. He doesn't have like a real like resume built or anything.
How old is he?
He's 23 now, but he doesn't really have that. You can tell it's just a little different from where I was at 23, because I had a job that I was like having to make decisions on for myself, and because I was not in the school at 23, I was like choosing to do different things, spending time with different people and doing different stuff. when you have to focus on school to get that type of degree. It takes a lot of your time.
But he's 23. What I don't understand is, I'm sure he wants to buy new shoes. He wants the new video game. He wants to buy shit for himself or go out with friends, spend some money at the bars.
I agree.
Like, where does that money come from, or how does he learn the value of a dollar, essentially?
He has a part-time job where he does get paid a little bit of money.
Okay, so he makes a little.
And he's a great saver. He's a way better saver than I was, and he saves a lot. So he has money for himself and stuff like that. But because he's so focused on school and his schedule, he isn't the most social person either. So like his desire to go out to the bar and with friends is like minimal, I would say, because his main thing is just like get done with school. And like once I'm done with school, then I can go have fun and like start my life essentially, which is like interesting. But I think it's interesting to compare because like my youngest brother, he's a college athlete. Like he's rocking through school and doing his stuff, but he is choosing a career path in the medical field where he has to have that degree. Where me personally, like my job that I was doing and the stuff I was wanting to do, like you don't really have to have a piece of paper to get that
Business,
job.
you really don't.
Right. There's only certain positions which I learned when I was going to school. I was working in a job that I really did need a 4-year degree for, but they let me have that position simply because I was going to school already. So they're like catering me into this position. But it was interesting because where the position above me was like a director and then a vice president and then a senior vice president, the SVPs. You couldn't be an SVP without having a master's degree. So there was SVPs in this company I was working for that had to go back to school and when they're 40 or 50 years old.
So stupid.
To get an extra master's degree program online, which is a lot of master's degree programs are actually really just BS. It's like a year and a half, 2 years max to get a master's degree to say you got it. And I know 2 that did it online just to get it so they can get this raise and get this position. And I was like, holy crap, is that something I really like? How beneficial is it? You know?
And I think that's changing with companies as well. Even over the past 5 years, like my first corporate job, I worked at Yelp in just a sales position. It was just cold calling people. You didn't need a college degree, but when I applied, it was a requirement to have a college degree, to have a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
In 2015, I applied. By 2018, when I left the company, you didn't need a college degree anymore. So I think a lot of tech companies, especially in these new age companies, they stopped doing things like that as far as like requiring certain degrees.
Yeah, and the thing is, my mom, she got her college degree to be a teacher, and she never used it once. And my dad was obviously fortunate enough to make enough money to provide for us, where she hasn't had to work growing up. But she got her college degree for teaching. Never used it a day in her life, and I think that kind of made her mindset be a little different on us growing up, because she almost realized that she wasted that much time of her life in college to get this degree that she's never used a day in her
100%.
life. So
I guess I'm the only one here with a college degree.
Yeah.
And I would say my college degree is the worst investment of my life.
Yeah.
From a time perspective, from a money perspective. Thank God I was so bad in high school. I finished like last in my class. They just let me graduate because they did not want to hold me back to deal with me for another year. I graduated low 1 GPA. I would just throw away tests. I did not care at all in school. And then I went to college because my parents kind of wanted me to. I never knew about any of this shit. Like, this was before I graduated high school in 2010. So there wasn't really social media where you could scroll through TikTok and see, oh shit, this guy's doing this and this guy's doing this. I wasn't really learning anything. I was just learning from the people around me, my parents' friends. Everyone just had normal jobs. I didn't even, I'm living in a pretty small town in New Jersey, but everyone would just get jobs in like Manhattan, go work in the city, get a good corporate job. So at the time, I just thought, yeah, I got to go to college. I got to get a degree if I want to get into business. I knew I wanted business, make money, be a businessman. So my only choice was to go to community college because my grades suck so bad.
Yeah.
But that was also one of the biggest blessings, because if I was good enough to get into these good schools, like I wanted to go to like Maryland, or ASU was like a dream of mine when I heard about that.
Yeah.
But I would have spent $50,000 a year to just go party
Exactly.
For a vacation.
for a vacation, and I ended up partying anyway at the community college. I would just go to all my friends' colleges on the weekend and go party there. But
So you seeing that you don't use your college degree now into your day life, right? Do you think once you do have kids and stuff, you think you'll raise them differently to the aspect of not pushing them to go to college unless they want to?
so even going further back before even college, like right now, I would not send my kids to public school.
Yeah, I agree.
I think,
especially with the shootings and everything right now.
I mean, shootings.
And what they're teaching them.
Yeah, I'm not too scared. Like, bad shit could happen wherever. I'm not going to, like, raise my children. You should be scared of going anywhere.
I agree.
You know, bad shit happens everywhere. But I think it's more this perspective of what they're pushing to kids. You know, I'm not going to stand where, you know, my 6-year-old gets taught by his teacher about, you know, there's not, you know, two genders, and you know, you should feel bad about feeling white and all this crazy liberal agenda stuff that they're pushing. Like, I'm not really for that. I think school should be, when you're young, learn math, learn how to read, learn how to write, learn some basic history. Hopefully they're teaching what actual history is too, and not this new wave of what they're teaching. So I'm just seeing what's happening in schools now, and there's no way I would send my kids to school. Luckily, I don't have any kids right now.
Yeah.
But if I did currently, if I had a 4 or 5-year-old, I would probably homeschool, or maybe like find I haven't looked much into it because I don't have kids, but a Montessori type school where they teach more trades. But I think with my lifestyle, my kids would kind of learn from dad. They would just see what dad's doing. And if that was the type of life that they wanted, I think I would try to teach them as much as I can. But if they wanted more, just to, you know, become a teacher, or if they wanted to become a doctor or something where you actually need formal schooling, I would be all for that.
Yeah.
But from a young age, I would not right now send them to public school, and I would not encourage college. I would really press them on, why do you want to go to college?
Yeah.
Why do you think that's a good use of your time? And if they have good reasoning for it, I would support it. But I went to college because I felt like there was just no other choice. If I didn't go, I was going to be a failure.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think one thing, if I did have kids right now, I would be focusing more on, like, I don't think I would send my kids to public school right now. Not necessarily because of shootings. That's the last thing I would be thinking about. It would be like more of that, the agenda, or who you're being around, or what is being like implemented in schools like that. But I think one thing that I wish was different for me, like if I was in like 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade, if I spent less time just, you know, going through the motions of school, because you get in like this routine, it's just like whatever, and you're just trying to get by. If I spent more time focusing on like, okay, what am I good at? Like, what talents do I have? What things click for me? What things don't? What subjects are actually hard for me? What's good? You know what I mean? And then figure out like, what talents do I have? And as I'm going through college, or before college and later high school, I could then identify my talents or weaknesses. And then actually if my kids go to college, or myself, they were able to figure out like, holy crap, I could be a doctor, or I can't be a doctor because I can't do this or that, or whatever the case may be. If your talent is becoming a teacher, like cultivate that talent and do whatever you're best at. Because what I'm saying, like, for example, I have a lot of friends that went to college because they wanted to get a degree in X, Y, and Z, and then they get in the field and they're like, crap, 2 years later, this is not fun. I don't want to do this. I hate my life, whatever. Like, for example, like that, I know so many kids that went to finance school because they wanted to get in finance.
Yeah.
They get in a year into finance and go, finance sucks. Like, I don't want to be doing this anymore. And then you're back to almost square one. But if you could have, like,
wasted money.
With
Tons
wasted
of
money and time,
wasted.
and then like you feel like you're not behind, but you feel steps behind. And a lot of people get a 4-year degree, especially when my graduating class, they get a 4-year degree, and that 4-year degree is in something that doesn't even apply to their current position, but they're able to get a different position because they have a 4-year degree, which is very interesting to me.
Yeah, but even if it applies, like I have a 4-year business degree from Rutgers University, bachelor's in business administration. That's like a pretty good school. After community college, I transferred to Rutgers. Luckily, I just commuted there, so I kept my expense. It was in-state school, so I kept my expenses pretty low. I don't like have any debt in college, luckily. But that 4-year degree, I learned nothing about business. Me cold calling for 1 month at Yelp and getting yelled at on the phone and learning how to handle objections. I learned more about and talking to business owners, which is we would call business owners to try to sell ads to. So you just hear, what is it like owning a plumbing business or a restaurant or being an electrician or a lawyer? I learned more about business in a month of just cold calling and getting yelled at on the phone and talking to these people than I did at 4 years in business school. Like my business teachers, they were teaching college. They never had their own business even. So should those be the people even teaching other people about business? I'm not sure.
I'm very similar to you in the aspect of like my first real like job where I was doing sales, doing marketing in charge of people. That shit taught me so much damn stuff about the real world and business and communication and handling people, understanding strategic maneuvers, working with bosses, higher ups, working with people next to you, whatever the case may be. I learned so much about that too while I was going to school. And one thing that really clicked for me was I sat in my first higher level marketing class, because in my business degree, you got to do marketing classes. And I sat in that marketing class, and this professor was a phenomenal professor, very, years and years of experience being a professor at this, prestigious business school, more or less. And I just remember looking through the curriculum and the syllabus and going, dude, it's 16 to 17, middle of that at the time, going, there's not one damn thing on here about social media marketing or real internet marketing in any way. Like it was just like more of concepts and not stuff that really applicable
Right.
in real world. And I hope as time goes on, that's changing. And I know there is, because I know kids in college now, they're getting experience in different marketing aspects because it has changed so much. But when I was specifically going to school, I wasn't getting that experience, but I was getting all that experience from all the other stuff I was doing it. And I was like, not bringing it to the class, but I was like, someone asked me a question. It's like, no, I do it like this because X, Y, and Z. And it's like, holy crap. It's like, I'm actually doing that shit. And then I felt like because that wasn't like instilled in me in those classes, I felt like it was a damn waste of time. That's what really fired me up, I think, to be like, how much am I actually getting out of this?
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like I wasted all my time in college too. I was just waiting to get that degree because I also, back then, I thought the only way to get, if I could get a job and a corporate job, make $100K a year, like that was the dream.
Me too.
100K, I'll be chilling. I'll have the life I want. So I thought the only way to even attain that was with a college degree. So even college, I thought was a complete waste. Like I thought high school was, I thought middle school was, but I didn't see another path. And I don't know, like Jake, you're younger. I'm 30. How old are you?
24.
You're 24. So a lot changed in that time frame.
Yeah.
And especially with social media.
So much. I mean, what's funny is for as young as I am, I remember social media even starting and beginning as well. Like me back in school, homeschooling, no social media at all or anything along those lines. And I'm even sure for you, it was even crazier back in the day, right? Like nothing.
I guess my point is, back then, I didn't really see ways to do anything else. I didn't have that spark. I wasn't looking anywhere. There was no exposure.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering now, even maybe like when you were maybe 16 to 22, if you had exposure just by being on social media to see, oh shit, some people are saying college is a complete waste. This dude's driving a Ferrari and he's saying, screw college, learn sales, go knock on doors, go do this, learn wholesaling, learn how to trade stocks, learn how to.
Yeah. The guy did backflips on scooters and made a living, for himself.
That was so foreign to me.
Like that wasn't even a thing that I was thinking either. I think I had the same dream as you. Like I need to make 6 figures to be successful because I want this, and this. I want, X, Y, and Z. But I feel like my vision stopped after that. I just never really put 2 and 2 together to say, I don't want to make six figures. I want to make $1 million. Like, what do I even need to do to be that? And it's like, oh, it's like almost not realistic. But when I was at that corporate job, I saw those people that were making the 3 or 4 or 5, $500,000 a year. And I saw their schedule. 55, 65 hours a week.
Slaves to the game.
They had awesome cars. You know, when you have a job like that for 20 plus years of security and bonuses, you're well off financially. But your day-to-day life is shit. And like, it is challenging. And there's limitations to those type of jobs. You have to be in the office. You have to do this stuff.
You have to play the game.
You have to play the game to even get to that position. Because if you don't, like, you will not be able to attain or climb that ladder the way you need to get to that salary position that you can make that much. And nowadays, 5 years ago, 100K a year is phenomenal income. 2022, 2023, 2025, you're making 100K a year and you're living in Arizona. You're going to have, you're not going to be able to support a family of 3.
Yeah.
You'll do all right, but you're not killing it.
You're not killing it.
I saw the same thing at Yelp. So I get my job at Yelp. I'm like, all right, I'll like climb the corporate ladder. Damn, some people here are making 300-400K. Even at the time, that would be crazy to make.
Sick, yeah.
But then I get promoted into management, which I worked. Get a job there. I was always a leader type, so I wanted to manage people. Worked my ass off for 2 years, get promoted. Now I'm in the management position, and I'm talking to my director, and I'm seeing the ladder. So I'm at management, next director, then this, then that. And I look at their day-to-day, and I look at how their bosses are on their asses and yelling at them. I'm like, I don't want any of these fucking jobs here.
Dude,
I'm like, this is not the dream at all. So that's when I really had that spark, and I had to figure out, find something else to do, because I didn't want any job that my bosses and their bosses had at that company.
Dude, that is the identical scenario to me, because I saw that. And I think it's just even rare for people to see that. But I feel like almost bad for those people that do get the degrees and they think that this is their dream job. And they see that after the fact, they see that 2, 3, 4 years into a position to get that manager, director spot, or whatever the case. And then they see that. And then, oh crap, then you're in your mid to late 20s already. It's hard.
It's hard to pivot. It's hard to
pivot, especially the older. It's not impossible. That's the thing. It is just more challenging.
They hook you with vested stock options.
Yes, and there's great benefits to that. But if you're the ambitious type that is not satisfied with X, Y, and Z, and you have bigger goals or ambitions, and you have different dreams of doing different things, like, there's got to be a part of you that doesn't have regret, but wants to go do that. But because you're already so deep, you have expenses, you have a family, you can't just leave your job. I think that's a big thing that I see a lot.
It's harder as you get older, for sure.
With the stock market students that are like, I'm trying to do this because I'm trying to get out of the rat race, or I'm trying to pivot jobs, or I've been at my company for 20 years. I'm trying to make an extra $5,000 a month so I can support my family and start this new business I'm doing, or whatever the case may be. Because then you have different, people don't tell you this, but when you're an adult, you have different responsibilities. You have different liabilities. Even me, now that I have a fiance, like, she's my responsibility. I take her under my wing. I take care of her. 3 years ago, I didn't have that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I don't have to worry about, an extra splinter around or whatever the case may be, or paying for this or that. It's like, it's just me, myself, and I. And when you get older and you have a family, have kids, like obviously
I bought
parents.
my first house last year. Now that's a burden. Every weekend there's something to do, more to take care of.
Right. And then when you have a wife and children and like
a couple dogs, like,
yeah,
it just, it gets hard to do that, find time for that side hustle when your main job is so taxing too, from 9 to 5 or whatever it is.
100%. And I think one of those things that people get unmotivated. They get not depressed, but they get feel like they're stuck and feel like they can't pivot or do that because they have so much on their plate. They can't go chase that dream, the spark of dream or interest they had, not only financially, but time wise, you know, and then you feel like you're stuck. And then that's where I'm always, you know, not questioning, but always asking my little brothers who are on this college path, like, is this really what you want to do? Is this what's satisfying you? Do you see yourself doing this in 10 years?
Do they
Like,
want to be in the matrix, or do they not even know that they're in the matrix?
what kind of schedule do you want Monday through Friday? You know what I mean? Because, and I think there's a little bit of what I see, especially from my friends who I had growing up, is like, and people understand like my lifestyle and what I do and my jobs and my roles and stuff like that. Like, there's always like a little pushback or like jealousy of like, not only the job's one thing, making money is one thing, but just the simple like lifestyle, saying like, if I really wanted to, we can leave this podcast and let's go kick around a golf at 18.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We can knock that out, no problem. And then we can go work on other shit until, you know, 1, 2 a.m. at midnight if we want to. But other people that are in different positions, the flexibility is not there. The freedoms are not there, you know, and that's just a big comparison based on like what type of positions you have. And I think a big thing that's also changing is like, there's a lot of jobs, corporate jobs, that you're able to work from home that have major flexibility. Like, one of our friends is an engineer, and he only goes to the office like once a week or so, and he does all of his work from his home office. And it's basically like, when you get your shit done, great, you're good to go.
Yeah.
So he has other businesses he's doing in addition to a full-time engineering job. That's unheard of. That would have never happened 4 or 5 years ago, because you'd have to be in there. You'd be working with teams. Instead, he's doing stuff at his own pace, at his own time. If he wants to work late at night, he wants to work weekends, he wants to take a vacation or do whatever, like, the flexibility is there. And
Well,
I think,
even look at Brandon.
dude, I know.
Because so Brandon, my COO of Flip Lab, he runs the day-to-day operations for my real estate business. We worked at Yelp together, and I left Yelp. I maxed out at like 100K. I had no girlfriend, no house, no responsibilities. I was still pretty young. I just said fuck it and quit, and on a whim. But then a few years later, Brandon hits me up. He sees what I'm doing, and he's at Yelp now. He's like the top sales guy. He's making
Crushing it,
making 300K plus. He has a fiance who's in medical school. They already have a house, dogs. So he's pretty deep into the matrix. But luckily, Yelp went to work from home. So he was able to get his shit done for Yelp, but then also work on the real estate stuff on the side. I tried doing that when we had to be in the office. It just didn't work. I would have like a ringless voicemail call or a mail call come in my phone, and then my manager would be like, where were you the last 30 minutes? So it was so hard to do working from the office that I kind of just had to quit, when he kind of, because of COVID and stuff, had that opportunity to slowly transition. Obviously, still took a lot of balls to just quit a job like that.
Yeah.
When you have a fiance and you have a house and you have these responsibilities.
That's that consistent income everyone's dependent on and reliable on to live their daily day life. It's a huge decision.
Yeah, and that's a lot of money he was making. But it's hard to, if he probably got a little further down the road into the matrix, he probably would have got stuck in it.
Yeah.
And I know you never even kind of got into
no regular
that.
job, no, nothing at all.
Did you ever think maybe that would be a better lifestyle?
Not at all, because I see it's completely different. Because back in the day, when my parents owned the skate park, not only I was helping out there, I was on payroll there, and then on top of that, I was getting paid to be a professional scooter rider from the companies I was sponsored by. So I always had the kind of carefree lifestyle when all the kids that came to the skate park are like excited because they just got out of school. They're ready to go to the skate park. I'm like, I've been here all day chilling, like, so yeah. It is funny to see. And no, I never thought differently that I'd want that lifestyle of kind of, like you said, the matrix of having either school to look forward to every morning or a job. Mine kind of was the best of both worlds. I worked with my schedule, and yeah, I never thought differently that, yeah, I was jealous of someone else's life that is either having a regular job or school. So
I think one thing being a business owner in 2022 and you can attest for this as well, is a lot's changed in like who are you looking for to partner up with an employee and to employ. And one of those things for me is what I've realized is the people with creative abilities, people with different drive or motivation that isn't just like not just skill set based, but like cognitive problem solving, the ability to think on the fly and do like that real world thinking. Those people seem to just excel in other positions where we've had people or team members or whatever have like this very like, I have this or I know this, and they don't have that like creative spark or that ability to really solve problems. And I think there's a couple different CEOs that are saying this right now. But I think Bill Gates is the one who said it. He's like, I like to employ lazy people because they find creative solutions that's shorter and quicker solutions because they don't want to do as much work. I mean, it makes sense, right? So I think that's starting to change a little bit, but I don't think it's like fully like developed.
Yeah, I even know for me when I'm looking to hire people, I need to be hiring people who either are very convinced that living in the matrix and that 9 to 5 thing is not what they want for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
They have to be so fully convinced that I don't care if I don't have a paycheck coming every 2 weeks. I don't care if the hours are going to be weird, or they've had that life and then they realize they really don't want that. Or maybe like someone like you who's always done something creative and different. So you already understand that lifestyle.
I do.
But if I have someone who's so what day do I get paid? So it's from this hour to this hour. People that need that type of structure, and some people do. Like this type of lifestyle is not meant for everyone. And that's okay.
Not easy.
It's not easy, and it's okay if you like that structured style. But there's a big portion of people that definitely don't want that, and they're seeking other things. So I'm always looking when I'm taking someone on my team for that, because we have some structures and systems and processes, but it's commission based, no health insurance.
You're on your own.
Right, you're kind of on your own. Like the guys, I give them, hey, this is what we're trying to do. Here's the tools that we have, but you go figure it out.
Yeah.
You're not going to have, in the corporate world, it's almost the opposite. You're sitting there and you're like, damn, we should do X, Y, and Z. This would make my job more efficient. And then you tell your manager, and your manager's like, well, I got to ask my boss, and they got to ask their boss. And then nothing really changes. It's just, you got to do it their way.
Yeah, I think one big thing that I hear from a lot of people is like, oh, I want to have my own business, or I want to have my own flexibility schedule or whatever. It's so easy to sit there and wish you had it like this, or you wish you had a job that did this, or wish you owned a company that was just passive income, whatever. It needs to be said, and I don't think it's said enough because it's such portrayed on social media that being an entrepreneur is like such a thing. It is fucking hard work, and you are going to work way the hell more working for yourself than you will working a 9 to 5. Like
100%.
It's not said enough. My work schedule right now is actually cracked. I work way more hours than I've ever worked in my entire life. I have 4 businesses right now, and they're literally consuming my life, and I would not choose it any other way. But if you, like, I'm going to use my brothers for an example, who aren't used to this type of workload, they would not be able to handle the pure time it takes to get shit done. And there's a lot of people watching that want to have their own business, that want to do this stuff, but there's going to be limitations those people have to push through to make it to where they want to be, that I just see a lot of younger people, the laziness, the ability to get shit done is just not on the level that it really takes to try to go and do that shit. And I think everyone thinks it's so easy. Or I'm going to start like a apparel business or a shoe company or whatever the hell their business idea is. But they don't understand how hard it is to not only scale it, but be consistent to get yourself to the next fucking level. And I think that's where a lot of people fall back and go, you know what, this ain't for me. I'm going to go get that normal job. And I think this is more like fits my style.
Yeah.
But I just don't think it's clear that those people who you see drive around the Lambos and do the different shit, you see a Lambo and you see that guy, or you see that successful person wearing that $300,000 watch. You're like, fuck, I wish that was me, or I did that. You don't see shit. You don't see the years of hard work behind it. You don't see the late nights. You don't see the working for no money. Like, that's a big thing. Like, you have to work for no money. Working costs you money.
Yeah.
Like, to really be successful. And all they see is the end result. And I think too many younger kids are seeing the end result and saying, I just want that fucking end result and I want to own my own business. But the route and the journey, they're not willing to take. And I think that's what separates, like, you know, the wolves from the sheep when it comes down to entrepreneurship or schooling or like the real difference between the people who really go out there and hit it and do their own thing and live their own lives versus the people that need to kind of like sit back, cultivate their talents, get a job doing something, and not have that high pressure scenario or lifestyle on themselves, because it is a completely different lifestyle.
No, it is. And these days I probably work less hours than when I worked my corporate job. I probably make less phone calls than I do. But the biggest difference for me is as soon as I clocked out and got in my car, I'd be done with work. Like, my mind would just go to sports or this or chilling with friends. But now it never turns off. Like, ever.
100%.
I don't work too much on the weekends, but my mind is still on. Back when I worked my corporate job, Friday 5 p.m. and then till Monday 9 a.m., I didn't think about work or business or anything at all. And that's just never my life now. And I wouldn't trade it, but I think that it's not always just like the Gary Vee thing. You have to work 1 million hours a week and grind nonstop. But it is, I always say, I feel like I'm always working, but I'm always like not working too. It's an interesting dynamic. If you haven't really lived it, it's hard to kind of relate to.
Right. And it's easier, like, obviously, in time, as you progress, as you grow, as you build your systems and business, like, your goal is to, like, slowly, like, not have to work as much.
To make your job easier.
Exactly.
Long term.
For example, like, I have a business right now that's on the build up, on the come up, and it's just taking hours and hours and hours of time, and the reward is not there yet. And the time I'm spending on it is so much. But I know in 3 to 4 years, I'm not going to have to spend a lot of time on it. I know it's going to hopefully make a lot of money that I won't have to spend those hours and hours and on. But it is like, when you own a business, it's your life, and your life is your business. And it is like, when you don't not work 7 days a week. Because if I don't work on Saturday, like, I can't even remember a day where I didn't open my laptop for at least an hour or two. I was in a golf tournament last week. From Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I worked every day at least for 2 hours. Because if I don't, I literally can't sleep, because I feel like I'm, like, either falling behind or not doing what I can and not fulfilling that promise to myself to go be the best person and go get as much shit done as you can do. You know what I mean? Because one less day of working is, like, it's detrimental when you're growing a business, because the time it takes, time is so valuable. And the more you're able to provide and advance, like, it is big different. It is a huge difference. And I think all of us specifically, like, we want to be as successful as we can, because we all want to retire. We want to go do our own things. You know what I mean? We want to go travel the world with our lives one day. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I see that in the future. I don't want to be working when I'm 45. I don't want to be working when I'm freaking 35.
That's kind of my goal, is
100%.
like 35. But it does take time. I mean, I've been doing real estate now 4 years, grinding. And just within the last few months, where I can walk into the office now and just, like, deals are happening without me. I don't even know what deals are happening. That wasn't the case, though, for years. Like, I was doing every call.
It's your deal.
I was doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a few years of doing that. But then the goal is, now it's kind of rewarding. You have different responsibilities. Now I'm responsible for, like, 6 people and making sure that they get paid. And
you paid the path for them to basically follow, and now
Right. You have to
learn.
lead by example too,
Yeah,
because if they're bitching to me about, oh, this call, like, dude, I've made all the calls. I've made thousands and thousands of calls. Like, don't tell me, oh, it's tough or it's not working. Like, it does. You just have to grind. But it took years of doing that and building up people to finally get to the point. Like, I've been working with Brandon for 2 years on real estate, and just really within the last few months, he's really now able to just excel and run my day-to-day operation without me. Like,
awesome.
we're doing deals with me or without me, and I'm just kind of here now to lead the way.
That's where I feel like every person's business wants. You want to get to that point where
100%.
it is easier for you because you've gone through the hard shit. You've paid the path for these guys to learn, and now it's working for you from your experience of kind of going through it.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And I think a lot of these bigger successful corporations, these employees, like, I'm going to use example. It's like Walmart, for example. The employees at Walmart, like, their mindset a lot of times is like, fuck, my manager, my regional vice president, my higher level executives, they don't do shit, or they don't know what's going on, or whatever the case may be. And I feel like there's a little truth to that. But they also don't know what any of those people have lived through to either get to their position they're at now or have the skills it takes to manage those people and they're the ones responsible if the store doesn't hit their goals or budgets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a whole different type of mentality that unless you literally have been through it, you will not understand. And you can sit here and listen to it and you can talk about it and someone can explain for you, write it down for you, like put it on a whiteboard. But if you haven't lived through it, you really, really don't fully grasp like what it really takes to like put yourself in that position to really run that business to the higher level that you need to, or implement those people or trust those people. You know what I mean? It's hard work. It's very difficult, you know? And as time goes on, I think it's a learning thing for me because I've kind of been an entrepreneur for like 5-ish years, and I've had a slew of different businesses, some successful, some not successful, some great, sold, whatever. Ones I'm working on still growing. There's ones that have daily challenges that you're facing, and if you don't have like that like courage or ability to just like fight through and do those things, it sounds like very like cliche, but it's like you have to be that boss that, you know, everyone wants like to look up to or be around because you want to instill the best in your employees. It's the same thing. Like your partner, Brandon, your guys that work for you, if they're not looking at you going, this guy is badass, this guy's getting his shit done, this guy's smart as hell, and I can trust Ricky, then they're not going to perform what you need them to perform. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you laid that path. And I think there's a lot of people that don't see that as even a vision in a business because they just want to start a business and it's just them just working on it. They don't know that transitionary period is hard shit. And you have to find the right players and people to put around yourself to help you grow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then, you know, Brandon now sees, oh, like started a new podcast, going to do more content, but he's happy that my time is freed up to allow me to do new things that aren't going to generate revenue per se. And we have spend like $12,000 on all these cameras and stuff. This shit doesn't make us money.
Yeah.
You know, but this week alone, like, I've been tired because of setting all this up and podcasting but we're not potentially going to see anything from this for who knows, for years. Maybe never really much comes from it, but you have to try things and be willing to put in work, not knowing when or if something's gonna come from it.
100%.
And a lot of people, they never get in that position because they don't go through that first phase of be able to then delegate one business that's making money without them to be able to then, all right, let's take on this new task. Let's try some new shit.
100%. That one thing they try out, it fails. They go, fuck, I'm in this rut. I'm never going to be able to get out of this or recover or whatever. I'm like, dude, it's nothing. Like, you should have already mentally been moved on. Like, you try something, it didn't work out, fuck it. Like, that's in the past. Time to go do something else. And there's going to be a million things you do that are going to fail or you're going to try that don't give you the results that you dream of getting. And then you're going to do that one thing. That's
one thing that hits.
That one thing that hits, the one thing that's going to move the needle. And it's just going to be like, crap.
Then people are going to call you lucky.
They're going to call you lucky. They don't know how many times you failed. There's a million failures for one success. And I don't think people have like the resilience to get through that failure. I think my fiance right now, as an example, she's tried a bunch of different things. She's gone to school for different things. She has tried different businesses before in the past, and they haven't been successful. But she's got a real estate license, and she understands now that she's like on her own and dependent for doing exactly what she's doing. The money she makes is fully dependent on her. She works 7 days a week. You're going to get offers out. You're going to get deals. You're going to make money. If you work a little bit, you're not going to do that. There's things in real estate for her specifically that she's going to do that may not work out right now. Her lead gen or whatever the case may be, it may fail. It's not about going, crap, I can't get leads. I'm never going to be able to make deals. Put yourself in that rut. It's like, fuck that. That's in the past. Time to go do new things, trying to go get different leads, try and figure out new ways to get stuff, and then to go make that shit happen. And then eventually something's going to hit.
Yeah, Courtney's a killer. She'll make it happen at some point for sure.
If you have the persistency, you will get shit done. But I feel like so many younger kids nowadays, and you know too, like I just don't feel like those kids like right now between the ages of 16 and 21 really like get that like persistency.
It is. That's the one thing I've learned in my life. The number one thing I've been taught is consistency is key to everything in life. As stupid and cheesy as that quote is, it is true. Whether it's, failure, you push through with consistency, you're going to see a greater outcome with anything you do. I do think
that was probably a big success for your scootering, right?
Exactly.
Had to show up every day, fall on your face.
Dude, scootering, apparel, if it's a slow month, you got to push through it. Next month's better, I mean, it's really how it is. I'm sure with you guys, real estate, 1 month slow, consistency is key. And it gradually grows over time without, I think, a lot of people really realizing it. But, that's the biggest thing I've ever taken away is consistency with anything is key.
Yeah, and I think that's something that can't really be taught. You know what I mean?
No.
It's kind of like it's on your own.
You got to be put in that situation to see if,
sometimes
you show up the next day.
I don't know if I'm just becoming like the old head who's like, this younger generation, they're soft, bunch of pussies. But I also don't. But I don't know. I'm kind of disconnected. Like, would you say you're a little younger, so you probably actually interact with more, 18, 20-year-olds.
Kids my age, yeah.
But you also interact with 27, 30-year-olds.
Yeah.
So I feel like you're in a good spot. Do you see a difference in mindset?
100%. Yeah. Definitely. I see a bunch of kids from the skate park from me growing up. They're in that matrix of working at Dutch Bros or whatever. They can't be enjoying their life. And I definitely see that they aren't very creative with trying to figure out a business that makes them more than this minimum wage. They're almost okay with living in this lifestyle of just being able to pay the bills and being okay with that, which it works for some people. I mean, that's kind of what separates an entrepreneur from a regular person is having that mindset of not being okay with just making it past the bills each month and everything else. I'd say a lot of people that I see in this little bit younger generation, probably 18 to 20, a couple years younger than me, I don't see that strive to create a business or make more money than they're making right now or anything along those lines. Even if they are passionate about something, you see that they are just okay with showing up to work every day, doing their normal jobs, not doing anything after hours, whatever the case is, to make more money. And it sucks to say a lot of people are fine with that. But I would agree with you. Like you'd say, you look at the generation coming up and you do say like, oh yeah, those guys are pussies or whatnot, because it does seem like they are, but it is sad to say like the generation is just all kind of like that.
Which is nuts because they have they have so many more tools than we did.
The
resources. So many more resources. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go on YouTube.
But it's also the same resources are destructive.
Right.
I agree.
Their For You page on TikTok,
exactly.
If they're not looking at the motive, they're not seeing maybe the stuff that we're seeing. They're just seeing all the dumb shit.
Exactly. That's why it's a good tool for if you are on that hustler side, but it's also a horrible tool.
It's true.
And I think, yeah, it is. I think a big thing is there's a lot of people that just aren't exposed to this. So Ricky and I took our girls out for dinner the other night, and we were talking about this because my fiance and his girlfriend, they've always had like normal jobs and like their own thing. Like my fiance, she didn't know like entrepreneur or running your business like really exist or like what you can do. Her parents own their own business, but she didn't really ever understand like what actually went into details. And I know the girls were talking about that. Like they were like, crap, I didn't understand that. Like guys like us, like what the schedule, like what actually it entailed, like working like after like 5 o'clock, like that's just was like so foreign, you know what I mean? And it took a minute for them to like understand like our mindsets and like why we choose to do different things and stuff.
Yeah,
like
are you
that.
getting paid overtime for doing work at the house? Like, no.
Right. Or Data would be like, you know, we were chilling at home and she would just see me and my mind's somewhere else. And she just at first thought, like, what, is this dude brain dead? Or like, am I not entertaining enough? But then she learned as time goes on, thoughts come up. Oh shit, that marketing thing. Oh, I got to talk to Brandon about this. I got to implement this. Yeah,
because if you're lagging, then all these people are dependent on you as well to make shit happen. And
it's definitely, you know, a shift.
It can be a train wreck if you don't know how to correctly position yourself to manage it all.
Yeah, but
I agree.
I think now that the girls are we've been together a while now, they've been around us, they now see it and they know it. And then now like my fiance's transition now to being her own boss. And now she understands like, holy shit, me and all my friends, because she's been always around the guys. And because I was the first guy in our little friend group that actually had a girlfriend. So she's been around the whole 9 yards. And she's seen Ricky Gutierrez in the last 5 years. I mean, obviously her and him have like a brother-sister relationship. But she's seen like what we've done and gone through and the businesses we've had and like stuff like that. And just the growth in general. She like clicks now and she applies that to her own stuff. That's if she didn't have that exposure, like I always think like, how would she approach like doing her thing now? Or the same thing with like anything, you know what I mean? It is very different, especially if you're not around it. So dope.
Yep. Should we wrap it up right here, guys?
Yeah, I got an event to talk at in an hour.
Ricky's
So
got a little
more
talking. Event.
Lots
That's
of
nice.
stuff coming.
Well, we appreciate you guys for sitting down and watching our podcast for the past hour, but we have a bunch of guests coming on this week. So stay tuned, guys, and hope you guys enjoy.
Peace.